Hello everybody and welcome back for another episode of Indie Impressions. My name is Nick and today we're going to be checking out the pre-alpha version of a game called Breached by developer Coactor. This is a game that was designed originally as a Game Jam Konobu entry and actually won a couple of awards, one for Best Unity Game and one for Game of Show. So the general premise of this is it's sort of like a time travel inspired FTL, only you're on the ground instead of in a spaceship. Well, let's be fair, you're actually in a spaceship too, but the spaceship doesn't seem to be working anymore, and it takes sort of a more of a survival premise instead of you're just flying around looking for stuff, although we will be flying around looking for stuff. Man, I'm terrible at metaphors today. So that's okay. Let's start a new game, and we'll see if we can describe things as we go. It's definitely a very pretty game, and I think a lot of you guys are going to be really into following development on this one. Also, before I start a game, there are some flashing lights. It kind of takes a glitch aesthetic for the most part, but I wouldn't say that the flashing lights are very pervasive. So I think it's mostly just at the beginning, and also when we run into a certain particular enemy. Just wanted to give you the heads up if you have any issues with photosensitivity, epilepsy, or so on and so forth. So I've got a settings menu here, just worth mentioning real quick. Mouse drone control versus, I guess, keyboard. It seems fine the way it is. Simplify the graphics, I guess if you're having any trouble running. This is a Unity game. You can set it up to run in windowed at 1280 by 720. It seems to be just fine. Music and sound effects, definitely want those on. Very well done. Good atmosphere. Everything really is quite cohesive on that front. So I'm going to hit new game. And that's where the flashing lights and stuff happen, so just so you know. Here we go. That's mostly it. So we're going to slowly phase into our new world, and it's going to give us a little bit of a logbook entry. This game actually takes a very heavy look into narrative, and I'm going to kind of go by a lot of the narrative just because it takes a while to deliver. There's no, like, way to speed up this typing, unfortunately, so you gotta have to sit there, you have to sit and read it, which is not a problem, just, like, for the sake of this video, probably everyone's gonna leave before we actually get to the actual gameplay point. So I'm gonna skip the intro. This pre-alpha version is totally free, though, so if you want to go ahead and indulge, feel free to go ahead and look in the description. There will be a link. I believe it had a link for both Mac and PC, although I might have been wrong on that, and you can go ahead and read it all yourself if you choose. But the general premise is we're a time traveler. We found ourselves wrecked in a place and time unknown as far as I'm aware, and we have to do what we can to both survive and make good decisions and try and rebuild our ship sort of Pikmin style, although we can't actually go out into the world because we're not sure if it might have acidic air, so we've got to use our drone for that type of thing. So this is our deck house screen. You can see there's a number of tabs going across the top. And just so in case you're wondering, I spent about 25 minutes-ish learning the ins and outs of this. And there's a pretty important point that I was missing for quite a while, so I'm really glad I took the time to figure this out. Otherwise, I would have kind of missed, like, the main thrust of the game. But yeah, Deck House lets you look at the logbook and diary so you can check up on actions that you've performed and your progress so far. You can see we have 8 days left, shows the date and time, and it says the bottom left that we've got 10 actions. Now, actions are kind of like in XCOM. Every action you perform is going to use up a certain amount of those points, and when you run out of ability to do anything, well, you have to finish the day, and whatever's left, you just kind of forfeit. So you want to try and make as good use of your time as possible, and at the top, of course, there's our character, Chorus Valot, and he is a Bolide, or Bolide pilot. I'm not sure how to pronounce that word properly, but I looked it up, and it seems to correspond with, like, a comet or a sky fireball. So, you know, that's our ship, I suppose. So we can go to workshop, that's another option. When we find artifacts, we can use them here to try and pull resources from them, and then thereby apply those resources to fixing our ship. And there's also a fuel synthesis meter here, which we can use to create fuel, obviously. There's 3 different types of minerals that we need, which are all represented in the top left corner. It says mineral A, B, and C. Each of those have 0. There's also numbers for wiring, alloy, and microchip. So all of those things come from artifacts, and minerals supply the fuel. So I haven't actually been able to generate any fuel, but I have picked up both minerals A and C in quite a bit of abundance. So the next thing, I'm actually going to skip map. We're going to go to Horizon. This is sort of like a nice, happy little contemplative area where we can think about what's going on. None of these actions, by the way, actually use up action points, so this is sort of safe, passive stuff. Really, the only things that I'm aware of that use up actions are deploying our drone and doing fuel synthesis or artifact recovery. or like taking parts out of artifacts, I suppose. And yeah, that's kind of all there is to Horizon, at least at the moment. I think a lot of these areas might be not quite finished since this is pre-alpha and they're still looking for, you know, assembling a team that might be able to help better the situation of this game and make it a little bit more presentable for a final copy. But the way it is, actually, it's got a lovely presentation. The sound effects, beautiful. The music is really soothing, honestly, and the graphics that are here are quite pretty as well. I've seen a lot worse. So this is the main chunk of the game, is going to be what we can do with the map. And what we have here is a choice of 4 different sectors. Each one of those sectors we can deploy our drone to, and you'll see it uses up 4 action points. Depending on when you deploy your drone and to which sector, it might actually be a different time of day. So you'll actually see the time change from day to night depending on when you go. I'm going to start by going right to Sector 1 because hopefully there'll be the most artifacts there, since I believe they want to tutorialize to us a little bit. And this is where we actually get to control the drone. So the drone is always moving. We basically can stop it in its tracks by holding down spacebar, or I think it's right click, and we can speed up by using left click. And really all we need to do when we're doing all of this stuff is just kind of fly around and look for artifacts. Now, this is the very important point that I missed at first. If the pilot found artifact location is empty, then the artifact is shifted on the time axis. The drone can change time axis with mouse wheel or Q and E. So what that means is there's this little green meter that you'll see going around that circle, and once this fills up, it means we're basically standing in front of an artifact. If we don't see an artifact here, though, look at the top right corner of the screen. You'll see 66, 42, negative 26. Those are XYZ coordinates, and to the right of that negative 26 is our time coordinate. And if we use Q and E, we can actually change our time perspective, and in many cases that will cause the phasing of this artifact to go in and out. Now in this particular case, this artifact seems to be immune to shifting time because I believe they just want us to learn how to harvest these things. So we're just going to sit, hold right click, and wait for the timer to fill up. There's just a percentage thing that goes. It seems like it would be awfully boring for this to be the case, that we have to sit and harvest this thing for all 100% of that. But in fact, there's another element that we're going to get into in a little bit after we finish harvesting these, and I will show you why that actually is kind of important. So you'll notice each one of these has a different kind of swirly pattern to it, the last one being a different color to this one. I actually haven't figured out if those actually have a bearing on what we're harvesting at the moment, but we can only pick up 3 bits of loot at a time, and that's kind of important because you might be able to find more than 3 pieces of loot in one area. So I don't know what these are going to be, but we're going to find out as soon as we finish getting this 3rd one, and then send our drone back to the ship and go take a look at what happened to our inventory. So this is all first day stuff. This is actually good stuff. Oh, we've actually found Mineral B on my first try. I'd never had that one before. So we've got an artifact number 2, 12 of Mineral B, and 6 of Mineral A. That's a good start. That means we're 2/3 of the way to fuel synthesis already, and we've also got an artifact that we can basically identify, sort of a Diablo 2 style, by showing it to Deckard Cain, which happens to be our analyzer down there. And clicking on that uses up 2 action points. It's going to be analyzed by the time the day passes, and then tomorrow it'll go back to our storage and we can see what this was. For now, though, still, you know, a mystery to us. And now you'll see in our left top corner it says Material A6, Material B12, and we can now drag these for however many we choose. Problem is, I think we need all 3 of these materials to actually generate some fuel. No matter, we didn't really need to do that anyway. So we've got 4 action points still left. Oh god, what have I done? Why, what is that? I didn't do that. Where is, I don't know what's going on. I need to leave this screen. Let's go back to the map. We still got our action points, and we're gonna go to, let's go to Sector 3. You can go to these in any order you want, really doesn't matter, and you're gonna revisit them many times anyway. And because we are on our very last action point, Sector 3 is now very, very dark, and we've got to use our flashlight. So I mentioned before there's another element that we need to be aware of when we're using our drone, and that element is there's actually something called an anomaly that's going to be roaming around, and it actually has the capability of destroying our drone, and it often seems to come disguised as an artifact. So we'll be approaching something that looks good, and then realize actually we're in a lot of trouble, and the thing will actually magnetize me and suck me in, which is a bit of a problem. So now I've seen that I'm very close to where an artifact is, I'm going to scroll in and out of the various time factors. We can go from positive negative to negative 100, which can be a little bit boring when you can't find it for a second. You got to go up and down a few times. But, you know, there we go. We found our artifact. We're going to watch the horizon as best as possible to make sure that there's not a dangerous ball of light headed our way, because if there is, we need to bolt. And let's just see if we can find another one, another artifact. This area, this sector, seems to have some water. Oh, okay, that's safe. Having much, much better luck than in my first run. On the first level, I had found 3 artifacts. Then every subsequent area that I went to, there were no artifacts. And that was before I realized that I was not getting the whole time shifting thing. But I was not finding any artifacts that were on, like, the 0 time scale, which was kind of hilariously bad luck. And it was leading me to think that the game was bugged or I was doing something wrong. And eventually found out I was actually doing something wrong. And I'm glad that I figured that out before I made the video. Because that would have been very frustrating, and it would have really not demonstrated the actions of this game very well at all. But I definitely love the enigmatic, kind of quiet, contemplative nature of patrolling this desert, looking for something you don't quite know, and being, oh god, here's the anomaly, get out of there. Yeah, alright, everything is very pink and scary when that happens, and we need to go in the opposite direction. This world is not particularly big, this sector, I mean, but Sector 4 is actually very large. These aren't, like, procedurally generated, in case you were wondering. Although I think that to some degree, perhaps the actions that take place in the story might be. Because there's actually moments where you... Uh-oh, where's it coming from? I don't know where it is. I can't run away from it. Okay, I think we're good. There's an artifact here somewhere, so I'm going to shift a little bit. And hope that this thing doesn't attack me from behind while I'm looking. Oh, there it is. Quick, get in there. But yeah, just like in FTL, there's actually some decisions that you're going to have to make at one point. And to give you an example, and we'll see if this happens again in this particular run, there was some kind of a tapping on the bottom of my ship, and it sounded like that there was someone on the other side trying to, you know, get in, and I had the option of either going to investigate or just sitting it out, because I wasn't sure if the atmosphere of this world might be poisonous, and if I open the hatch, then I might just die. So there's some survival elements in that respect as well. So there's more than just the looking for artifacts, trying to, you know, figure out what they are and all of that. So we got an artifact 9, 4 material A, and an artifact 8. Seems pretty good to me. And we've made good use of our time. We've actually got all 10 of our action points finished with. And let's finish the day. Let's just make sure there's nothing else I can do, right? Yeah, I think we're good. Alright, finish the day. Gives you a new daily record. And logbook, black cube. The space-time configuration inside the cube is distorted. It allows to store things extracted from virtual reality inside. The transfer of objects into the primary reality disrupts connections between the elementary particles. The crossing embargo bans such... Okay. This is, I think, one of my issues with this game is, like, I mostly don't have any idea what any of the text means. Like, maybe that means something if you played the game more or, like, are better attuned to what the world is telling me about, but I kind of have no clue. Or, oh, okay, well, black cube is what I found before, so that's good. I guess we could get all of these materials out of it. It says, it's got 1 wiring, 5 alloy, and 10 microchips. 0% identity to engine, info trace strong. I don't know what those mean. But there we go. I used up 2 actions, got a bunch of stuff out of it. And I guess we would begin the process anew. I can use 2 more actions for each of these if I want to put these in the analyzer. And that would leave me then with 4, which we could then use to go on 1 more expedition. And I think that's exactly what we'll do. We'll let these analyze, come back to them later, and we'll go back to, well, I guess we'll hit... Oh, okay, maybe this is actually semi-scripted, because I think this happened on the second day here, too. Okay, I felt knocking even my feet strong enough. What was that? Are there living beings except me? Should check, but the air may be poisoned. So, last time I tried to be a little bit safe about it. This time I don't really have much to lose, because I'm not really trying for a fantastic run, although I am kind of happy that I got some good artifacts out of it. I'm going to check and see what happens next. Curiosity got the better of me, I suppose. Alright, slowly but surely we're phasing back into reality. What's happening here? Oh. I can easily breathe, but to my taste the air is acid. Is it really poisoned? So what, let's think the worst thing which I can get from the local vapor are hallucinations. To breathe is a wonderful pleasure. My side still hurts a little, but what is it there ahead? Seems a huge black stone. It directs the spikes into the air it threatens. Me too? I believe the developers' English isn't their first language, so it's maybe a little bit strange phrasing. I feel dizzy. I need to get back. Okay, so we had a little bit of a choose-your-own-adventure moment. Used up most of my action points? Is that what happened there? Oh no, I already was down to 4, so that was 2 of the 4. Now I can't actually go on an expedition. So I guess that's going to be it for the day. We'll finish the day. Glad to know that the atmosphere isn't going to kill me necessarily, but it might make me hallucinate. And what did I get out of this? Tower door, onboard translator. So wiring 9, alloy 1, microchip 7. No identity to engine, wiring 10, alloy 1, microchips 1. Alright, so that's actually a pretty good number toward our goal of 40 wiring. 7 alloy out of 35, and 18 microchips out of 30. And then, of course, you still have to generate a bunch of fuel. So that's still 6 days left. I think this is actually pretty much where I'm going to wrap things up. Very, very cool game, Breached. I definitely recommend you go give it a download, even at this very early stage. It's quite compelling, and I would like to see a run of this through to the end. I could even see doing this on a stream or something. I think this could be quite a bit of fun. And I have a feeling a lot of you guys out there might enjoy this as well. So, you know, let me know what you think about this in the comments. I'd love to hear your opinions. What's gone right, what's gone wrong, what would you do differently, what could be improved, all of that stuff. And if you enjoyed the video, definitely consider leaving a like, because it helps my channel out a whole bunch, helps more people find out about the videos, and lets more people, you know, discover new indie games. That's kind of what we're all about here. And of course, if you enjoy the channel in general, consider subscribing. That also helps out fantastically, and then you'll get notified of every new video I upload. You know, if you're a frequenter of YouTube, I imagine that could be useful. And aside from even just indie impressions, you know, Let's Plays and stuff will go up as well. And be sure to come back again tomorrow, because new episodes of Indie Impressions go up every single day without fail. So I hope to find you back here again for another one soon, and I hope you have a fantastic night. I'll talk to you all later.